Gave a thumbs up.
Oh, there he is. We'll go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Muncie Redevelopment Commission for March 20th, 2025. We'll start with roll call. Mr. Bishop?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Present.
Mr. Miller, I'm here. Mr. Pravilla?
Here.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
And Mr. Lowe is in the audience today. Good to see you. Going to go ahead and look over the agenda. If there are any additions or subtractions. Mr. Howe, you had something else you wanted added, correct?
I don't have a microphone over there, so I inadvertently left off downtown development. So if we could add downtown development to the agenda, please.
Sure. I'm going to propose that we add them just as the first up of other business before the grant. Is that okay with you, Mr. Howe?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
So that'll be my motion to amend the agenda in that way, if there's anything else.
Second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Pravilla?
Yes.
Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Let me write that in real fast. Okay, on to the approval of the previous meeting memoranda. You all should have a copy of that in your packets.
I move to approve as is.
I will second that motion.
I will add, just because it's a fact, there are a number of things that are missing from the minutes that are consequential. So I will not be voting in favor.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
No.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Pravilla?
Yes.
Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay. On to the claims by Mr. Wright.
Good morning. I sent out the claims yesterday and wanted to know if anybody had any questions. I know I replied to Zane on the RE/MAX question via the email, and with that, I'll just open it up to any questions anybody might have.
We asked you about the RE/MAX one in Zane's email, but Jeff, did you want to describe the 350 to RE/MAX, what that was for those three lots?
It's evaluation on lots on Washington Street.
Okay.
Zane and I talked about it. I think, Zane, I don't want to mischaracterize. I think you believed it had been published before, but I couldn't find anything, so we're just going to make sure it gets published again.
Yeah, I don't think the jury parking lots have been published.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew we talked about some other ones, but yeah, so.
Okay. Thank you.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
I noticed that we've got legal fees for Indiana stamping, but that's not an MRC project, I understand. Why would we be paying legal fees on that? I mean, you made it very clear, Jeff, that it's not an MRC project. So I'm just curious why we're paying legal fees for Indiana stamping work. That is the Muncie Community Development Corporation, I understand, and not the MRC.
This was from Barnes and Thornburg?
Uh-huh.
Okay, this was basically what I saw on there. It was reviewed the IDEM oversight, and it was from an invoice 384991 for legal services. That's what the invoice stated, so that's...
We'll have to find out if it needs to be applied someplace else, because it is not an MRC property, and so we'll have to take a look and see.
Yeah, no other questions. I would move that we approve the claims as presented minus the legal payment of,
That claim will have already been paid.
Well-
It'll be a matter of whether it gets reallocated someplace else.
I understand, but I'm going to go on record that it's not a party of this body for the claim. So I would move that we recognize that is to be paid otherwise and not subject to approval of this particular set of claims.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the claims? Seeing none, Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
No. Yes, if I apologize.
It's your motion.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure, we're sticking with that motion. Yes, pardon me.
So your vote is yes, just to
My vote is
clarify.
yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Pravilla?
Yes.
Ms. Wagley?
No.
Okay. Moving on with the report from the city. Mr. Howe, go ahead.
All right.
So on the financial, report on our financial position, as you can see the mall TIF, we see the balance of the TIFs. The mall TIF has $428,000 plus. The Mad Jack's TIF has 10,000, a little over 10,000. Central TIF, almost 92,000. The South Side TIF, almost 93,000. And 109,000 in the Delaware Dynamics TIF, and $234 in the Village parking lot TIF. Total TIF balances are $732,517. I'm going to make note again. I want to be specific on the balances because the downtown development presentation will have some effect on that if approved. The planned investments, we have 921,000. White River Lofts, 241,000 for the Till Pond allocated, and then the parks still have 59,000. Total planned investments of $1.2 million, and total focused funds and planned investments 1.9, almost $2 million. The consolidated TIP is just under 700,000. Other cash accounts is 1.4 million. For a total of 2.1. Then we have the sale of store lots. We still have 480,000 left there out of $1,020,000 I think it was sold for. So they've taken down more lots. And then the sale of the Sportsplex at 735,000. Projected tax revenue, net of debt payments is $1 million. So total projected new revenue of 2.2. We still have Storage State Park. We still we have that commitment made, and then the Village Hotel at 400,000, and that continues for a few more years. So that's 570 for this year. Gives us estimated consolidated TIF funds at the end of the year at 3.763, almost $3.764 million. Then on the other updates, been working, we've extensive discussions, been ongoing with property owners and prospective developers regarding the potential location and timing of a new downtown hotel. Fairly complex conversations. It really becomes a kind of a big game of combination of Monopoly and Tetris to figure out where things go and how to and with whom to try to establish partnerships with to make that happen. But nothing's definitive yet, so we got still stuff to materialize as we go. But some of the people in the room can tell you, I've been talking to everybody that owns real estate to figure out what we can do. Store Estates progress, D.R. Horton has acquired an additional 9 lots of Store Estates. And as we enter the prime building season, we anticipate that that'll accelerate the pace of development out there. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback from people out there in the neighborhood, and I think there are a couple of those properties that are already pending sales, and the response on the playground has been tremendous. I have people stop me at the gym all the time to tell me the playground's packed all the time. So that's working out real well. Village development projects, we've been working and spending a significant time trying to figure out some things as it relates to the projects in the village. We're collaborating with the mayor, the city council, Ball State University, and then the developer in the area to talk about the current and future projects. These initiatives promise a substantial economic impact to the city, and hopefully more detailed information will be available soon. But again, lots of things going on up there, and just trying to figure out how to get all that to work. I have been, surprisingly enough, we had a call about wireless communication tower that wanted to be located in the Store Estates area. Well, it's not going to happen. So I've been working with them to try to find alternative sites. There is a, for lack of a better, my interpretation, there's a signal strength problem in certain parts of the city, and they felt like that would resolve some of them. I think a lot of it's around Ball State and IU Health, Baltimore Memorial Hospital. So I've been kind of working with them on that, and have looked at a couple different sites, but we have kind of rejected the storage states. There was an offer maybe to take a look at whether it could be done on the fire station on Tillotson, but that's not going to work either. So we're working things out, but it's been kind of an interesting project. It'll carry 3 different carriers, AT&T and 2 of the others. So, so we'll get that done. We're also working on a public art initiative, a project underway in collaboration with the Muncie Arts and Culture Council. They are looking at doing a public art display, and so I'm trying to figure out whether we can work out something with them to make that happen. And that's really what I have in the way of updates right now. The other business I have for you is I'm requesting the MRC do a grant, which I guess jumps ahead on our grant area. Let's see.
Jeff, are you?
I can hold off on that if you want.
Yeah, are you moving ahead to other business now?
I am.
Okay.
But
We have downtown development listed before
Correct.
them.
Let's
if you
do
don't
that.
mind.
Okay.
So why don't we start there?
Yeah. Okay.
Vicki, if you want to go ahead, or
next on my piece of paper, so I was just going
jumping along.
Really? Head of this, not me. Good morning. Thank
Morning.
you for having me and giving me the time to speak. I believe you all received information in your packets on planters in the downtown area. And these planters were initially installed for the way they were, made out of limestone, as a nod to our limestone rock in Indiana, and that was the decision made at that time. But you can see that they're getting hit on a frequent basis. They're also around 10 years old now. The square edges make the corners pointed too, which sometimes causes more damage than maybe if something were not quite as edged that way. So we have several of those planters downtown that I would say they all have damage or have been removed already, and we have blank spaces. So the planters have been planted in the past by community enhancement projects, and they plant those planters for the city 4 times a year. So we're very lucky to have that happen. That organization's expressed some serious concerns about the planters and continuing to plant. I'm here today to talk about solutions, and I'm going to be asking you to approve today on a not to exceed, because there's still a little bit of work to be done. But I need approval today because if we wait until your next meeting, we will miss a planting season. And we're headed into the event season, and especially in June when we have brink of summer and it's flower hour. So anyway, I submitted to you an estimated budget for replacing the planters. I absolutely have no expertise in this area, so we asked Community Enhancement Project to do the research and make the recommendations on what planters they felt would work, and they have a lot of experience in this area. So I also submitted to you what they have recommended, and it's kind of cool because these also have an additional element to them, which is a water reserve. So it can help with water retention on the plants and ultimately save money for CEP, but CEP then turns around and puts that back into the community. So there's that too. I sent you an estimated budget, so, and I know that we talked a couple of years ago during meetings with this board, I believe, about that downtown generates a significant amount of TIF dollars to the community. I think they generate more tax per acre because of the density than probably any other TIF area in the county. And we talked about looking at a percentage of that perhaps to be used for maintenance types of things downtown and you agreed to that when you did the lights for Cannon Commons, and I think you've done a couple of other things. So I'm submitting a request today to approve not to exceed the $37,773.08 for replacement of the planters downtown. And then if we are able to save dollars, obviously we'll report back to you on that. Our role in this is as a partner to MRC. We're just kind of doing the research and overseeing how this gets implemented.
Okay, so Vicki, I have a couple questions. So this is in addition to the 80,000 that we already give annually, correct?
That is specifically for Muncie Downtown Development Partnership. This is predominantly a city, would be classified as a city project.
Okay.
We won't, yeah.
I would suggest, if we do it,
Street Department or City Parks or?
would be the city of Muncie.
Okay.
That way they would be
It
responsible
is.
for maintenance.
You own the assets now.
Sure.
Now, out of that 80,000, obviously, as part of our partnership is the time that we have involved in the work that we do for you as a partner.
Absolutely. Okay. I think that's all I had.
So these are, for 24 of them, we're talking each, they're $15.75 apiece, which seems pretty reasonable.
Pretty reasonable compared to what they are now. And I'm anticipating we may be able to shave that, maybe one or two planters. We haven't decided that yet, but that's a possibility as well.
So just to understand, the city street department's going to install these?
That's one of the things that we haven't visited to see what they can or cannot do.
Gotcha.
I don't know that they will, because I'm concerned about, we haven't talked about this, but I'm concerned. I want, not my call, but I think we want them on the streets.
Yeah.
So so our cost may be to have them installed as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's why it's a not to exceed. There's still some things that we want to visit to see if it's the best way to accomplish this. And
And these would fund, my recommendation would be if approved, they would fund out of the central tip.
Central TIF. Okay.
Just to clarify, CEP will continue to,
if we replace with these that they've recommended, then they have agreed to continue to plant them 4 times a year. They do spring, summer, fall, and holiday decorations.
okay. Then you mentioned maybe shaving off some money for fewer planters. I would probably recommend using the full amount of funds to have replacements.
So I'm anticipating that we may only need 20 planters with having 2 extra on hand versus 24 with 4 extra on hand. But I don't know that yet. So it's up to you. That's your call. It's storage too that we want to make sure we're in good shape with that. Yes, that's the other thing, is the reason why we're switching to these planters is they're made out of a different material of resin, and they have a history of being not as easily damaged or moved. They are heavier, so it could be that we won't have near as much replacement problem.
I'd move approval.
Okay. There's a motion. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Any
Second.
further discussion? No? Okay. Oh, sorry, Zane. Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Probilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki. All right, Jeff, now we'll talk about your grant. That's okay.
So I am recommending, I'm asking for approval to grant 3 properties to the Muncie Land Bank. 3 properties are 719, 819, and 927 West Powers. This is a partnership between the City of Muncie, the Muncie Land Bank, Intend Indiana, and WS Properties. This is part of the Ready 2, one of the Ready 2 requests that we had in, that we have yet to hear from, but these properties would be then developed, and we would be required to provide a match, and granting these properties provides us the full retail value of the properties as the match. 719, 819, and 927 West Powers.
They're all on the back of your packets if you will need them.
And yeah, but you can see where they're at. I mean, sure. But I've included a bit of a map if you can get perspective on it.
Yeah, sorry, it's behind the property
There's a lot of it. So,
just-
and then,
Just for reference, for everybody's knowledge, it looks like the MRC has held on to 927 West Powers since 2018. We've held 819 since 2016, and we've held 719 since 2017. So that's, I mean, almost a decade each,
yeah,
almost.
and these, wasn't here then, but the part of the reason, and Zane and I have chatted a bit about this, part of the reason we do hold some of these properties is because of the opportunity. We have to find these opportunities, but many of them require a match, and those provide the match to us. Otherwise, we have to write checks for the match, and
Sure.
it's a little more difficult to do.
Yeah, it makes sense, I think, to take advantage of our relationship with the land bank and let them do the work that they enjoy doing. So those are my thoughts on it. I don't know if anybody else has any discussion, or I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to transfer these three.
Okay, there's a
Second the
motion
motion.
and a second.
Had a couple questions.
Go ahead, please.
To clarify, these are being like transferred, like gifted, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Gifted.
Do we know the planned end use of the lots?
To be developed into housing.
Okay,
I mean, yeah.
part of their existing?
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
I think that's per our agreement with the land bank too. I think that's in there.
Right.
There's some requirements there that
Right.
they meet as well.
Great, thank you.
uh-huh.
Any further discussion? We do have a motion and a second. Steve. Okay, we'll go ahead and call roll. Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Pavilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. You have a property purchase application, Jeff.
I do. So women support girls, women support each other. An organization that does work with young women has made an application. I'm going to let her tell you about her project, but she has signed the application. When she went online, she got the old application, she filled it out. We have since, I think, successfully gotten the new application. It's taken a while. And thanks to, I think, Shireen and Amber and IT, and with absolutely no help from me, we were able to get that on the website. So we have transferred the information that she provided onto our new application, and she has signed it. So there is a signed application here. And then if approved, we will provide her with an agreement to sell real estate, which Mr. Freeman prepared for us about a year ago. We won't ask her to sign it today. We'll ask her to take it so she can look at it, review it, have her legal counsel look at it if she wants to. But she'll walk you through what her plans are for the property.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, my plans for the project is to buy a barn, which I have a document for you guys to view, where they already did my outline. That will make our non-for-profit be able to work alone, then always get renting spaces. We're limited to the work we can do if we don't have our own space. So it will just be our headquarters space where we'll do events. We already have done events this year. We got 2 events coming up, been there, done that, at the YWCA, the Roses and Pearl at the Event Walker Center. We did all those same events last year. The Youth with the Future, we need our own space so we can do more work. We're limited.
Okay. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate it. Couple things I noticed on the new application, and Jeff, this might be a question for you. Under attachments required, it looks like there's not, and maybe you have these and it just needs updated, proof that the applicant has no delinquent taxes or code violations, all of that, and then documentation of approval for financing of improvements on the vacant lot. Those 2 boxes are unchecked on this. if she has provided those since, then it's not a big deal, but I just wanted to double check and see your thoughts there.
I
First.
just checked the taxes.
Okay,
And,
okay.
so, that's not a problem. And, I don't know, the building is prefabricated building.
Right, it will be a Barn Unlimited LLC custom shed, and I'm gonna turn it into our headquarters, which I have that outlined, so we could do our support groups and mentor women and teenage girls.
Okay.
Do they need
Here's
this?
zoning requirements. This is in a residential,
That's true.
residential neighborhood.
Mhm.
And have you looked into the zoning requirements?
It's variable. So with it being variable, it could be
Oh, it does say on the application, current zoning is variety business.
variety, yeah,
Uh-huh.
variety.
That whole street along Willard, or that whole first row along Willard is all zone variety residence.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Great.
checked that as well.
Awesome, okay.
Where will the building set on the property? It's a pretty small acreage. It's like .7.
It will
I'm sorry,
set like
I can't
this
see
way?
that.
Like this way?
Long, like,
Can I
go,
see-
Well, no, like
can I see
this
what you
way.
got?
Yeah.
You can bring it up here, it's okay.
This would be the front door.
I think, well, I just want to take a look.
I made copies.
Yeah, and my curiosity is where will it sit on the property?
This
Will it
way,
be,
so it would be, this is the property, and it'll face this way, like straight this way.
does it sit further into the property or is
Further
it
in
closer
by
to the
house.
street?
In the property, it won't be close to the street,
Okay.
because it's long way, like,
Oh, these are all.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I'm just
I don't
wondering,
know how to
like,
explain it.
from the sidewalk, if there's a sidewalk or the street,
That's the front door.
how far back does the front of the building sit?
Yeah. Why don't you go back to the mic, that way people can hear you, and then we can go through more questions. And then, sorry, Mr. Dale, why don't you ask that one more
Yeah,
time?
and the reason I'm asking, and just, it's all great, it's the context of the neighborhood and making sure that it's thematic and is respectful of the neighborhood, that's all. You follow me?
Well, it's long way, so I don't know that part. I don't know that part.
I'm just wondering when the front of the property, which I assume faces the street,
Right,
the door, how far that sets back from maybe the edge of the road
it's a sidewalk on the road,
or
so
a sidewalk, yeah.
it will be a sidewalk, so I don't really know. They will have to come out.
that would probably just be based
Yeah,
on
I'm not getting with
the setbacks for the zoning.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make any assumptions, I'm just asking the question, yeah.
It's,
I'm all in favor of this. I want to make sure that the context is right for the neighborhood when it's done right, and since we're a part of this, in that we're selling a piece of property or gifting, so to speak.
The front setback requirements for variety business shall be a front yard of not less than 25 feet measured from the right-of-way to the front wall of the building. So unless she gets a variance, it'll be that.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions on that? She does,
It's not being gifted.
yeah, it's a purchase, right? Yeah, so I was gonna say, she wants to purchase it for $250 is the offer. I did look at the property. I think Google Maps shows it as having a structure on there, but that's not there anymore. It's an empty lot, so, anyway, there's that, if that's helpful.
do you have the properties on either side of this lot? Do you have any plans to acquire them?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, so this lot that, this commission owns, it's in between a property that the county owns and then some other properties that a trust owns. Do you plan on acquiring either of those as a part of this project?
If, I do plan on expand, but we was just gonna start here. So I don't know if I want a different location or how that may look, but I wanna be in the industry neighborhood. We haven't thought that far out. Really, I wanna expand everywhere because I know what God told me, this will be a national organization. So I want one here because this is where I'm from, and then I wanna move to Lexington and set one up there. I wanna move everywhere and set one of these up.
Jeff, how would the process work with the contingencies?
I brought this up on the phone the other day, and you and I talked about it, and Zane's a good point. So the contingencies are ability to obtain necessary building permits, verification of zoning limits, and verification of utilities. seller to pay any and all taxes accrued for any prior year, which that's irrelevant now, as far as we know. But I think, Zane, you may be speaking to the building permits, zoning, all that stuff, correct? Is that?
Would we just hold it until, would it be just the agreement and then the permits and everything would be applied for? Would everything be applied for under the MRC's name?
No. We would sell the property, and she would, to be able to use it, she would have to go through the steps that she would have to
Well,
go through.
Okay, I guess I would say just, depending on the action taken today, I would talk building commissioners upstairs and then the plan commission, a couple of buildings down, just to verify everything. So
I got the package. I got the state plan, the outline for the architect. I got everything.
As much as I would like to say that Muncie is ready for development on this lot, I'm worried some of the zoning codes will get in your way since it's only 27 feet wide on this lot. So maybe just look into those things, and then I'm sure the MRC, this commission, owns other properties that we could work with you on if this specific property doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the commissioner, the county also owns the property next door, and I don't know what their plans on it, next to this lot. So that could be helpful if needed.
Okay.
Any further discussion or motion to approve or disapprove this application?
Make a motion to approve the application?
Okay, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, there's a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Bishop,
Yes.
Mr. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Purvilla,
Yes.
Ms. Wagley.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's kind of strange that the county owns that.
We'll move on to the land bank. Mr. Howard, good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
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 Nate Howard from the Muncie Land Bank. Thank you for gifting us those properties. Appreciate that. As far as acquisition and disposition, we're still building out our ask for the county. And again, what that looks like is just getting out into the neighborhoods, sharing all the information that we've collected using students, the surveys that we've done of unsold tax properties, presenting that to neighborhood folk, and asking them to provide their input. And so we've been out in industry neighborhood a couple times. We're going to go back to the neighborhood association next week. We're also scheduled to go out to South Central, the Old West End, and Whiteley in the coming weeks here. That same process, again, trying to build something really with community input on which properties we're going to be asking from the county this year. We're working on a transfer of properties. So the three properties that you guys just gifted us, those are part of our inventory for the Old West End Community Development, or Comprehensive Community Development Project, which is part of what Jeff mentioned, the Central City Housing Project that we're applying for ready funding for, hoping to be a part of that. We're going to, rather than wait for ready funding to be dispersed, our hope is to, upon board approval, to transfer 11 of the properties that we have that are shovel-ready. There's others that are shovel-ready, but these 11 intend and eco-rehab and pass on all the partners are talking about getting going, just to get something started, rather than just keep saying we're waiting, just get something going. So we're looking at doing a transfer of 11 properties to intend, and then we'll work with eco-rehab and Pastone and everybody to figure out who does what. And then all that, all those development plans will go through our disposition committee to make sure that they're aligned with kind of the vision that's been created by the Alliance in the neighborhood. We have, we're exploring a new partnership, brought this up, I think, last meeting, somebody that Jeff has got to know a little bit, also the mayor. We went and visited one of their most notable work sites in Indianapolis. It's an old school that they've turned into some really nice market rate apartments. Again, we want to kind of ease into something, but we're excited about the possibility of a partnership with a for-profit developer in an area where there's starting to see a lot of energy, potentially in the Old West End. We had, first Friday, we brought the head planner from South Bend. He spoke at our first Friday meeting last Friday. It was really great. He, just kind of started out by saying that in South Bend, they kind of recognized that no one's going to come and save them, and so they, as a planning department, did everything they could to kind of create the conditions for local people to get involved in development. And they did some reforms to the zoning code, and have a pre-approved design program, and they've done some work in rebuilding some of the sanitary issues where anybody who would be developing something would have to eventually pay for. And so just trying to create the conditions for local people to be more involved in development. It was a really encouraging conversation. This April, first Friday, we're bringing in 2 planners from Fort Wayne, who they're neighborhood planners, and so they work as liaisons between the communities and the city. Again, always welcome to those conversations. Part of our partnership with the Urban Planning Department, we've got second-year students that are out in South Central and Thomas Park, Avondale, mapping out the neighborhood, assessing housing conditions. The goal is really to determine which distressed properties are in need of demo or have the potential to be rehabbed. We're trying to create a methodology with students to be able to do a better assessment, just from the outside. We're going to bring in a construction engineer, and they're going to do a workshop with the students and the land bank. We're going to try to create a methodology that helps us when we go out and survey properties, try to determine their structural health. As far as funding, we were awarded our grant to Community Foundation for $20,000. That's to help support operations. Really thankful to the Community Foundation's support. We put in numerous other grants, one with the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation, and I think that we have a really good proposal, but we're trying to get some money to be able to do a further assessment of the tax sale. As I've mentioned, we've kind of been able to determine kind of the success of the tax sale as far as recuperating taxes owed, but there's the other objective of the tax sale are how it affects the community, and so we're hoping to get some funding to be able to assess the community impact, especially in disinvested neighborhoods. Yeah, we had submitted a proposal to the county for collaboration, like a 20-page document kind of explaining, I think I mentioned this last meeting, explaining what we think the land bank, how the land bank may be able to help with properties that linger in the tax sale. Still waiting for a response, but yeah, it's a document that I'd be happy to share with you if any of you are interested in reading through. But we hope to get some information sometime soon, and that would be, again, just want to be transparent about this, the potential for the land bank being able to service all of Delaware County. It would also include potentially a first right of refusal for property that goes unsold in the tax sale. And this is setting the bar very high. We're assuming that this will be hopefully an opportunity to dialogue and converse and think about really the land bank's capacity and where we can help, and also potentially some funding commitments. And in this agreement, we would be including some kind of clause about how any properties that we acquire, and that the city, the MRC, the county wants to use as part of deals that they're doing, that they would have some type of first right of use. That's my update today.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions for? Yeah, go ahead.
I
Trina.
have a question and a comment.
Mm-hmm.
My question concerns the agreement that you are proposing with the county.
Yeah.
That also includes the land bank name change, correct?
I guess perhaps we haven't talked about that specifically. And this, I'm,
It's in the proposal to the county, changing the name to the Delaware County Land Bank, correct?
I don't think we actually proposed that.
Okay,
I mean, if you've seen the document and it's in there,
yeah.
I don't-
Read it.
yeah, I don't think we proposed that. I think our
Okay.
goal is just to service the county and whatever the name, yeah.
Okay. My other thing is more of a comment. I just want you to be aware or careful that the properties that you're wanting to transfer to intend, those are used as part of a match for a grant, the Ready Grant. And if you guys move forward with that, it's possible that once the grant award comes, they're not going to look back and give credit for anything that's happened prior to that grant award. So a lot of grants don't. I don't know if Ready does or not, but it's just something, because that could be a large chunk, the 11 properties, the legal, the staffing, and anything else that you guys are talking about doing with those 11 properties. If you do it before the award is given, then you may not be able to use it as part of the in-kind or whatever it is. So just be careful with that and make sure that Ready will allow you to start now before the award.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Anything else?
I'll just add, I was at the South Bend presentation, and it was great. The city's done a lot of work to kind of get out of its own way, and not have like kind of outdated zoning codes and anything that, like neighbors don't actually really care about, but kind of prevents a lot of local investment in communities. And I hope it's something that Muncie considers. I think they created their own building plans to fit on their existing lots and provided them, I think at no charge to anyone that wanted to build them, and coordinated a lot of the sanitary work, as you mentioned, and just like kind of not little stuff, but stuff that we might not think kind of prevents development and disinvested neighborhoods.
We've looked at some of that already as far as pre-approved
Yeah.
plans and things like that. But
Interesting. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Howard? Okay, thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll move on to public comment. If anybody signed up, you have 2 minutes each. Anybody? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Yeah, only thing I had, I drove through store, saw that homes are getting done. A few of them have sold. They have sold signs in the yard, which is really exciting. So, that's just great to see for the proof. I think we did the right thing there. So I'm really excited about that. And happy birthday, Mr. Howe.
Yeah.
29 today. 29 today. Yeah, again and again. Any other comments today from commissioners? Okay. Seeing none, we will be adjourned. Our next meeting is April 17th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you.